This video is perfect for you if you struggle to engage your glutes and you're not really feeling that burn when you're doing your glute workouts. I'm going to show you exactly what you're doing wrong and how to fix it. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. Okay, so the first common mistake that lots of people make is that they arch through their back, normally because they already have an arch in their back. So when they're doing something like a glute bridge, you're lifting up and all you're feeling is it in your back here rather than in your glutes. So what we need to do before we start, and this is going to sound weird and you've probably never heard this before, but you need to engage your pelvic floor. That's the muscles that you use to stop yourself from peeing. You need to engage your abs and you need to squeeze your glutes, and this is going to create that pelvic tilt so that your back will naturally flatten and you'll lift up and you're going to feel that glute engagement. So what you're going to do first is take a deep breath in through your belly, and as you breathe out, you're going to squeeze your pelvic floor, tense your abs. If you're not sure how to tense your abs, imagine that someone's about to punch you in the stomach and you're bracing for it. So your pelvic floor is tight, your abs are tight, then you're going to squeeze your bum and lift up from here. And you can see the difference between doing it right, like I am now, and arching through my back and doing it like this. Now there's two more things that come with the glute bridge. If you're struggling to engage your glutes, you can turn your toes out a little bit. So it's not your whole foot going wide, it's just the heels that are staying close together and the toes are turning out, and you need to make sure that you're pushing your knees out nice and wide. So pelvic floor is tight, abs are tight, your bum is squeezing, you lift up and you push your knees out, hold at the top, tense your glutes, and then back down. Reset, re-tense the abs, squeeze the pelvic floor, squeeze the glutes, and go again. So the whole time you want to make sure that your back isn't arching. This everywhere here in your trunk is really tight and nice and straight. Okay, so my second tip follows on really nicely from my first tip, and we're going to be talking about pushing your knees out. Now I'm a really good example of this because I have really flat arches in my feet and my knees naturally turn in. So you can see the difference between here, this is wrong, and this, where I'm turning my knees out. And if you're like this too, if you put your hands on your bum, you can automatically feel when you turn your knees out, you're engaging the arches in your feet, and you're also going to be engaging your glutes, okay? So we want to pull the knees out. Then we're going to re-engage that pelvic floor, the abs, and your glutes. Keep your chest up high, and continue to push your knees out as you squat down. Because what I also see in a lot of people is not only are they not pulling their knees out before they start, they're kind of squatting like this with their knees in. You've really got to keep those knees pushed out the whole time, and then squeeze your glutes again as you drive up and stand up. So my next tip is one for when you're doing crab walks. So for a lot of people, they'll squat down and then they step their foot out. This is the move that they're doing. But if you look, my foot is leading. My knee is not pulled out, okay? It's here, so my foot goes first and then my knee follows. We don't want that. I'm looking at my phone down there at the floor to make sure I've got my form right. So squat down, push the knee out, and the knee is what leads, okay? Now you can see that my knee is leading and I can feel it so much more in my glutes, but you really have to focus on this one. It's so easy to get it wrong. So I recommend either putting your phone on the floor or having a mirror in front of you to check your form. If you're using a mini resistance band, like this one, then it's going to make it so much harder. The whole point of this band is to make it harder by pulling your knees in, and you're trying to push them out and really work those glutes. So if you're not able to push your knees out and lead with your knee, the band is either too strong or you just need to work on your form first. So pretty much with any glute exercise, we're always focusing on keeping our trunk really tight, not arching through your back, engaging the pelvic floor, engaging the abs, and engaging the glutes. So the same needs to happen when you're doing things like donkey kicks or any floor work, okay? So to give you guys an example, lots of people, when they're doing a donkey kick, they've got an arch through their back and then they're kicking up like this, there's no control, and they're not engaging their glutes. This is actually a really hard exercise. You need to squeeze the pelvic floor, tense your abs, keep your back really flat, and then kick up. And you can see, I still struggle with this exercise. I've still got a slight arch in my back, but I'm going really slow, and I'm squeezing my abs so tight, really trying to focus on keeping the back as flat as I can, rather than going quick and throwing my leg up into the air. Now I'm sure lots of you have probably heard people saying all the time that you need to squeeze your glutes at the top of the movement, and that's absolutely true. There's a really strong connection between your mind and your muscle, and you have to focus when you're doing any exercise on telling your brain to work those specific muscles. So for example, at the top of the glute bridge or at the top of the squat, you want to tense your bum as hard as you can, and that's going to engage the glutes even more. When I first started to work my glutes properly, my glutes were so weak that I really couldn't squeeze them very hard. It didn't really feel like they were working, and it's got better over time with practice. And now what I like to do and what I recommend for other people is to put your hands on your bum and literally just practice tensing. So this is going to look a little bit weird, but from the back, I'm just literally squeezing my bum, trying to engage those glute muscles. So I'll practice this when I'm standing in a queue, when I'm cooking, when I'm lying in bed, whatever it is, just to strengthen that connection between my mind and my muscle telling my bum to move. Once you've got that, you can start working each glute independently. And again, if you have imbalances and you find when you're doing exercises you feel it more on one side than the other, this is really going to help. So put your feet a little bit wider, turn your toes out. This is going to make it easier to start with. Put one hand on each glute and then focus on just trying to engage the left glute and then the right. So from the back, it looks like this. So that's me engaging my left glute and then my right. Sometimes it's kind of tricky to do one and then the other. Hopefully you can see that properly. But yeah, it's just about getting practice, and then once you've got good at doing it with your legs wide, you can bring your feet in a little bit closer and practice trying to do it standing with your legs straight, because it's going to be a little bit harder. So there you have it, guys. Those are my top tips for mistakes that you're making with your glutes and how to fix them. I hope you found this video really helpful. Please give it a thumbs up if you did and drop a comment below. You may not see me posting for a couple of weeks as I'm having an operation, and then it's probably going to be around 2 to 4 weeks of recovery. So apologies if you don't see as many of my videos coming up, but I promise I'll be back as soon as I can.